Let's get straight to our breaking news. Donald Trump has returned to Washington, where he's about to begin yet another legal battle.
Yeah, this is a live look at the scene in Washington. The former president is facing the most serious criminal charges yet. He's accused of fueling the January 6 attack on the Capitol and attempting to overturn the 2020 election. Let's go live to Tim Lester. Tim, Donald Trump is just about to appear before the judge. Take us through what will happen.
Shervo, we expect that he will be appearing on the hour, so right about now, and we'd heard about 7 or 8 minutes ago that he'd actually made his way into the physical courtroom, so he'd gone through that earlier process where in some cases they'd photographed, not in this case, likely fingerprinted. The ID process presumably now done. We would expect for all the history around this court appearance that it could be very brief. Certainly the previous ones suggest as much. He would enter a plea, almost certainly not guilty, to the 4 charges brought against him in regards to the 2020 election and claims that he deliberately tried to overturn it in his own favour. So he says not guilty. There may be some debate on bail conditions. No one doubts that Donald Trump will leave the court not in custody but as a free man to continue his presidential campaign. But there was, in the most recent case, some debate over bail conditions. There might be here. He will then be taken out of the court by the Secret Service. They were very protective of him going in, so don't expect him to be wandering around out here. He will be taken out, and that will be it for him for the moment. His lawyers will then begin pursuing their efforts to have this case moved out of Washington, D.C., where they think the city is way too liberal and will not judge him kindly, to another jurisdiction, and also to delay this case as long as they can. The prosecutor wants a speedy case. Donald Trump wants it running beyond the 2024 election. His lawyers speaking outside court just a short time ago.
The truth is, as an American, there were questions that he had regarding the election integrity. We've seen documents come out, we've seen documentaries come out showing that there were issues with the election. And frankly, by bringing this, I don't think Jack Smith really thought it through. There only has to be proof that, number one, President Trump believed that this election was not completely honest. And number two, Jack Smith has opened himself up to a can of worms that we can now look at and really examine.
Donald Trump's lawyer, or one of them, a short time ago here outside the court defending her client, and also, frankly, a scene of how 2 truths are again to the fore in America, a complete split in opinion. We learned today in one CNN poll, for example, that 69% of Republican voters in America, the conservatives, now believe that the election was stolen in 2020. Interesting, because the number's gone up. It's actually higher than it was earlier on. So this division of what actually happened back in 2020, around which Donald Trump is charged, is increasing in America, if that poll's not right, not resolving for the time being. A quite extraordinary situation, guys.
OK, you are right there in the thick of it. We'll cross back to you soon. Thank you, Tim.
Let's get some more news now. Hi, Eddie.
Thank you so much, Shervo. Good morning. Now to Melbourne, where a man remains under police guard in hospital this morning after a woman was found dead at a home in the city's west. Let's go live to Tegan Doling at Hoppers Crossing for us this morning. Tegan, what do we know so far?
Well, Eddie, this is where the huge crime scene was just a few hours ago. Police were called here just after lunchtime yesterday to reports of a disturbance. But when they arrived, they actually found a man who was acting incredibly erratically out on the street, and he had serious injuries. So they whisked him off to hospital. And when they went inside the property that he was at, they sadly made the grim discovery of a woman's body. Now, the homicide squad has been called in. They spent the evening here speaking to neighbours and trying to piece together exactly what has happened. They have put out a statement, Eddie. They say that the man who was found here, as well as the woman, are known to each other and that they're not looking for anyone else over this woman's death.
Thank you, Tegan. A manhunt is underway in Sydney this morning for an alleged underworld figure following a raid at a Greenacre home in the city's southwest. Police say they were there to carry out a compliance check when Ahmad Alamuddin is reported to have run from the home. His sister and girlfriend have both been arrested, accused of helping him evade officers. The home is on the same street where lawyer Mahmoud Abbas was shot last week. In a move described as long overdue, Queensland is about to roll out a meningococcal B vaccine program, making the shots free for children. Let's go live to Georgie Chumley in Brisbane this morning. Georgie, morning. It's set to be announced by the Health Minister today.
Good morning, Eddie. That's right. More than 500,000 Queensland children will now be eligible, with the state government announcing it has made meningococcal B vaccines free, or it will make, I should say, meningococcal B vaccines free for children under the age of 2 and between the ages of 15 and 19. For those older kids, it'll start with a school rollout from next year. And it's been brought about because doctors noticed an alarming trend, with many families opting to forego the meningococcal vaccine because it was $100. And with the cost of living, parents simply couldn't afford it. So this will be music to many parents' ears, as well as advocates who've been fighting for this change for years. They say they hope it'll save lives.
Yeah, great development. Thank you, Georgie. Relief may be on the way for mortgage holders, with economists and the big banks forecasting the Reserve Bank could look to start cutting interest rates as soon as next year. Let's go live to Jennifer Beshwadi in Canberra. Jen, consumer spending has a lot to do with this. Why?
Certainly does, Eddie, and the latest data shows that Australians have dramatically reduced their spending. In fact, the latest data shows that total goods bought over the past year have fallen to levels not seen since the 1990 recession. So many experts believe rate cuts could now be coming sooner than expected. Commonwealth Bank believes it could start in March and fall a full percentage point by the end of the year. So what does that mean for households? Well, a percentage point reduction in the cash rate would reduce the monthly repayments on a $600,000 mortgage by more than $400. Now, the Reserve Bank will release an update on where things are at later this morning, so we should get a better understanding of what it intends to do with interest rates over the coming months. Eddie?
Thank you so much, Jen. Well, if you had a ticket in last night's Powerball, maybe worth checking it this morning, with 2 winners to share $100 million, including a 10-person syndicate in Sydney. Let's go live to Liam Tapper, who's at the Rosebery North News Agency. Now, Liam, they sold the tickets there to this winning syndicate. You're anxiously waiting for it to open.
Well, Eddie, I can tell you just moments ago, Min, he has opened the doors here to the Rosebery North News Agency. And I tell you what, you could not wipe the smile off his face when he arrived here. Probably he was smiling when he saw this bottle of champagne that we have for him and his syndicate winners as well, because of course there were 10 people in this syndicate, each sharing in a $50 million. So they get $5 million each. And Min, apparently it's not the first time that he has won part of the jackpot. So this is one of those lucky places. There's also a mystery winner in Victoria. They this morning are $50 million richer. They bought their ticket online. So if you did buy a ticket online and you live somewhere in Victoria, check your ticket this morning, because you could be $50 million richer. Of course, there were more than 10 million Aussies last night who purchased a ticket. And I tell you what, most of the people the 10 people at least who bought their ticket here from Min this morning, they will be waking up very happy. We're going to present this to Min next hour, Eddie.
Oh, can't wait to hear the inside story. Thank you so much for that, Liam.